Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your AEW Revolution 2022 preview and predictions. And we have got 12 matches to predict tonight. That's unbelievable how loaded this card is. And the thing is, out of the 12 matches, I don't know if there's a single one that I just flat out don't care about. When was the last time either one of us was able to say that about any American wrestling pay-per-views, John?
Oh, it's been a long-ass time. Even more impressive, again, just to emphasize the point you already made, that it's a 12-match card. And you could say that about, a card like that. I'm right there with you. AEW's definitely been turning a corner with me. It was at a crossroads, but I think it chose the right path. As far as my hype level goes, I did say before premium predictions that I felt like I was about at a 9. Ever since the Rampage that we covered, I'd say that number's held steady. I would say that I'm at a 9 out of 10 for the show. I think because AEW is still so new to me, it doesn't have, because I'm like trying to keep a clean slate with it now that Cody's left and everything. So it's got a sense of novelty to it that I think helps it along. But I mean, dude, Jericho versus Kingston. Jericho actually looks to be in amazing shape. So that match has even gone up a few notches. He's still a piece of shit. But Eddie Kingston, great promo. I was even keeping up with his promos a little bit, even when I was out of the loop on AEW. That should be great. Moxley Danielson could be the strongest match of the year contender they have on this card, in my opinion. I love the story. Moxley, another one like Jericho, looking fucking amazing right now. And then Danielson, like I said, it seems like every time he's able to tap into a certain character or a certain mindset, he outdoes himself, because I feel like he's on top of his game right now. Obviously, dog collar matchup. Very much looking forward to that. I'm still an MJF fan. I think this whole feud kind of reignited my fandom. And Punk, I'll tell you, that promo he cut in the trainer's room that we got to see on Rampage, that was the best promo I've seen him cut in AEW. So he's really bringing his best work right on time. And then, the Revolution ladder match, that's just going to be a fun schmoz. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. Rosa, I don't know if you're going to hear this, because I know she stops by on the podcast. Fucking love you. I'm rooting for you. I did a thread for her. That's how hyped I am for this match. And then the AEW World Title, Cole and Paige. Paige has been a great fucking champion, and I love Adam Cole, baby. And that doesn't even take into account the matches that I didn't even mention, which should also be fun. So yeah, I'm genuinely psyched for this. This should be a really fun show. I'm hoping it is. I'm rooting hard for the show. So going into this preview, what would you say your hype level is, so we can put a number to your feelings?
I'm going to say 8.5.
So you're just under me. That's amazing, though. I love that.
Yeah. By the time we get done here, it might be higher up. It might be closer to yours. Yours also might go higher up, though, so I don't know. We'll see.
Absolutely. So let's get into this, man. Let's talk about this show.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Our first match, our least sort of important match, I guess. We're just going by the pre-show. Hook versus QT Marshall. And I got to tell you, man, you already know I'm a big fan of Hook. I'm absolutely certain that he's winning this match, but I'm digging the story here. I really like that Hook has kind of taken AEW by storm in a way, and QT doesn't like his attitude because he's like this older vet that, is bitter. And Hook is going to beat his ass, and I can't wait to watch it.
I'm just going to say two things, because I really want to have fun with this preview predictions, because, again, AEW is turning a corner with me, and I feel like, they deserve to see my fun side since I've shown them my scoring for so fucking long. One, Hook for the easy win, for sure. I'm going to make kind of a bold prediction here, though. I think Hook could be TNT champion by no later than the end of the summer. I think this dude, when you look at the crowd reactions he's getting, his look and everything else, he's over as fuck with people. And I think AEW is going to want to capitalize on that, but maybe not too fast. Because too fast I would think would be world title, right? But I think if Scorpio Sky beats Sammy Guevara, which I kind of doubt, but they've made a big deal about Scorpio Sky not losing for like 364 days. If Scorpio wins it and he gets kind of his own little kind of streak going, who better than a guy that, is kind of being presented like Goldberg-esque, just goes in, kills people to take the title off them. So I'm going to say by the end of the summer, Hook will be TNT champion. And so he can't afford a loss here. He's absolutely going to steamroll QT Marshall. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's get into our next match then, which is Leyla Hirsch versus Kris Statlander. This is a really interesting one. because Leyla is very clearly meant to be the heel, but Statlander has said some fucked up things on the way here.
Yeah, I think we even heard a little bit of that on the Dynamite that we covered. The beautiful thing, man, about me being so out of the fucking loop is that this really does feel like predictions not even informed by educated reasoning, right? Like I am just going in totally ignorant of everything. I'm going to go Leyla Hirsch here. Statlander feels like the more obvious pick because I think she's more well-known in the AEW fandom, has made more of a mark. But I'm thinking Leyla Hirsch is going to pull this one out. So we'll see. What do you think?
This is a tough one for me. I think just for the sake of parity between us, I'm going to go with Kris because I really do think it could go either way. And I think from a pure upside standpoint, in terms of like somebody that I could imagine holding the AEW Women's World Title, somebody that I could imagine being the face of the women's division, someone that I could imagine being sort of a breakthrough star for AEW. I think you're looking more at Kris Statlander than Leyla Hirsch. I think Kris Statlander has a much more marketability, much more kind of mainstream appeal. And because of that, I think that it's more likely that they want to keep her strong than Leyla.
I agree with everything you said. And so, on that point, definitely, I just still, again, some reason I'm thinking Leyla Hirsch. But as far as the marketability, as far as like who's the better prospect, who's got more mileage long term, I agree 1,000% with your assessment. Yeah. So,
all right,
next match.
Next up, let's get into there we go. Oh God, yeah, another God, man, this card really is just unbelievably stacked. House of Black, Malakai Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews versus Death Triangle and Erick Redbeard. And Death Triangle obviously is Short Phoenix, so they've got Pac and Pentagon still. So it is, just to kind of sum things up, because I know I said a lot there. Malakai Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews versus Pac, Pentagon Jr., and Erick Redbeard.
Dude, this is hard to call. Because even Redbeard on Rampage looked fucking great. Like, he looked dominant and imposing. Granted, it was on security, but they presented him like House of Black really stepped in it with him, being called to arms for the other side. That being said, maybe it's because I have a soft spot for Malakai and Buddy Matthews, and maybe it's because I'm proud of Brody King for really just finally embracing that he doesn't believe in God. But I am going to go with House of Black here. So who do you think?
I think it's also House of Black. I'm a lot less uncertain than you. I'm very certain that it's going to be House of Black. Really, I think that Erick Redbeard feels very much like a sort of thrown-in addition here. He feels very much like a third wheel on his team, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he ended up being the one that ate the pin. So I think they're probably going to build this up so that when Phoenix does return, he's the difference maker, and that is the point at which Death Triangle finally gets a win over House of Black.
All right, that makes perfect sense to me. Next matchup.
Let's get into our main card. Holy shit. Here's the crazy thing. Again, you even mentioned this before we got into our predictions. The least important match on this main card, in my opinion at least, is Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. It's one of the only two non-title, non-stip singles matches on this show, and there is significantly less of a sort of aftermath that we can look forward to from this than the other non-title, non-stip singles match on this show. So Jericho Kingston, to me, is the least important match on the main card. How ridiculous is that?
That's wild to me.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, man, since Jericho's working heel, and this has a step to it, because remember, if Eddie Kingston wins, Jericho's got to shake his hand. So to me, I feel like when Jericho always puts a stipulation on somebody that's a babyface, like the last time I remember was the Samosa matchup against Orange Cassidy. I feel like he always comes up short. So just going on the past experience we do have with AEW, I'm going to go with Eddie Kingston for the win here, but I think Jericho will shake his hand, but it's going to be like some kind of low blow or some dirty shit afterwards. So I don't expect it to just be clean, so to speak.
Yeah, that's fair. So just to recap, who'd you pick right away?
Eddie Kingston.
Kingston, yeah. I'm a little apprehensive to just go right for Kingston because it's like, I think I'm still scarred from WWE for so long. Just immediately, like, the person who should win is Kingston, but that doesn't necessarily, like, if it was WWE, I would be like, it doesn't fucking matter who should win because whoever's gonna win is gonna be who Vince wants to win. But in this case, I kind of think I just want to roll with it. I kind of just want to go Eddie Kingston, but there is still a part of me that feels like they want to keep Jericho strong, but I also feel like Jericho, especially like in his last year and a half or so, has been losing a lot of his bigger matches to kind of put over the next generation. So I'm just gonna join you and say Eddie Kingston, honestly. I'm gonna put my faith in AEW a little bit here. So our next match, what did I have listed as our next match actually? It would be the 3-on-3 tag match. Andrade El Idolo, Matt Hardy, and Isiah Kassidy versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. I guess I can just hop in here and just say I am going to officially predict Sting, Guevara, and Allin to win this.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I'm not going to overthink it. So Sting, Darby, and Guevara, that makes perfect sense to me. And yeah, that's who I'm going with as well.
All right. Then we can move on to our next match, which I believe was Danielson Moxley. Yeah, Moxley Danielson is next because even though we know that there are going to be ramifications going forward, there's no outright stipulation here. It's just a singles match, and obviously no title on the line. So I had to rank it this low as in terms of importance, even though we really do know that it's probably more important than this in reality, holistically.
Yes. I'm really fucking looking forward to this. I think the promos to this have been fire. Again, I think both guys are on top of their game. Mox looks great after a stint in rehab. He looks refocused. Danielson's a beast. I'm loving the flexing triangle. Because I've always loved the triangle choke, and the idea that he kind of infuses personality with it just sends it over the top. So all that to say that I just think it's going to be a fucking great match. So I really haven't been able to go into like the more fandom side with a lot of these matches. This is the first one that I can really do that. I hope, regardless of who wins, I'm just putting this out in the universe. Please, AEW, let this fucking faction happen. I would love to fucking see it. Yeah. So goddamn bad. With that said, I am going to go Moxley. I think if we would have done this preview predictions maybe like a week or two ago, I would have said Danielson. But you know what? After the way he treated Christopher Daniels and then the promo by Moxley afterwards, like, I think he's going to do it. I think they are going to do the faction. But I feel like they're going to want to make a program between these two more long-term. And I think just the idea that he lost to Mox is going to eat Danielson up a little bit. And he's going to sabotage it down the road. But I hope it won't be for a good, I don't know, year, however long. I'd really like to see this faction get some mileage, but I am going to go Moxley to win this. I'm very curious what you're thinking, though.
Yeah, I'm actually on the same page as you for this. I do think Moxley is going to win, but I think it's going to be one of those matches where Bryan really earns his respect. I think multiple matches, and I hate that I even have to say this. I hate that I even have to predict this. But I do think that multiple matches on this show will have a pretty significant amount of blood in them. This being one of them for sure. Moxley literally said, I won't stand beside someone until I've bled with them first. So there's definitely going to be blood probably from both guys in this match. I think Danielson is going to fully earn Moxley's respect as a fighter. And after the match, after Moxley gets his win, they're probably going to shake hands and we're probably going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of my official prediction for it.
Yeah, I like that your mind went there. I think I'm right there with you. So yeah, we'll just have to see how this match goes, I guess.
Yeah. And then this next match is another one of the big matches that I fully expect both men to be bloodied to a fucking pulp in. CM Punk versus MJF Dog Collar Match.
Oh man, I am so looking forward to this one. Oh God. So yeah, we have that Punk, lost to MJF. I think MJF even beat him in Chicago. So right now MJF holds a victory over Punk. And I personally even feel like this won't be the end of the feud. It should be, because I don't know how you top this unless you get the world title involved. And as much as I'm an MJF fan, and as much as my Punk fandom's reawakened after that promo on Rampage, I don't know if I'm comfortable with either one of them holding the world title in the near future, and we'll get more into that in a moment. Well, in a little bit, I should say, because I know we're still always away from the world title match. So I don't know how you go beyond a match like this. So the question is this the feud ender or is it not? I'm actually inclined to think not, given that, if Punk does get his win back here, which I'm just going to come out and say now that I do expect that to happen, it'll be 1-1. And I feel like I've watched enough wrestling, and you've watched enough wrestling to know that they never really leave the table like that in any feud. So as much as I would love for MJF to win, because I feel like it could catapult him to the main event, at the same time, really good wrestling, you can be a loser and still go to the main event if the match is good enough. You don't have to win to solidify that spot. I think these guys are going to do great. I think it's going to be violence that's earned, given how personal it is. I've loved the promos in this. I went back and I rewatched the Beating Down Punk segment, and I love that when MJF smeared Punk's blood on the T-shirt where he had the picture of him and Punk superimposed, he spread the blood on his side. The Punk side was untainted. It was his side. It's almost like, that child that loved you, he's awash in your own blood now. Like I'm drowning that child in your own blood because this is what's left. I love the imagery, love the intensity. Again, I've gone over and over about Punk's promo on Rampage, which when we're done here, I should put that as a promo of the year contender for me in my year-end awards. I loved it. I just love the look on his face. I love the look on security's faces in the background. This is a great, great fucking story. I do think Punk wins. My only concern with this feud, and I say this with all love in the world because AEW is turning a corner with me, and we'd say it about anywhere else. How do you up the ante after this? And more often than not, when a company answers that question, it's disappointing results. We'll see if AEW can, kind of break that trend. So what are your thoughts on this matchup and who you think is going to win? And just the implications, I guess.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one where, from a business standpoint, it would make more sense for MJF to get the win, but from a storyline standpoint, I don't see how CM Punk doesn't win this.
Right, yeah.
Because, like I said, like from a business standpoint, obviously you want to put over the future, you want to get the young guy over, you want to, set him up for maybe a future title run or whatever. MJF makes all the sense in the world. Punk's in his fucking 40s. It doesn't make any sense from a business standpoint to have him go over for that reason. But from a storyline standpoint, MJF absolutely needs a massive fucking comeuppance after the shit that he just pulled. So I have a hard time believing that MJF is going to win despite getting bloodied to a pulp, because that's very babyface. It's very like resilient. It's very like, oh, I went through hell and back and I managed to, still get the win anyway. I think the only way that he wins is if he gets help from Wardlow, from Spears, from et cetera, and knocks Punk out and pins him the way that I think he actually beat Punk the exact same way on an episode of Dynamite. We might have even reacted to that. Or no, it was a week before we reacted. But my point is, if MJF wins, it's not going to be clean. It's not, and then when I say clean, I mean like he's going to do something underhanded to win, even if it's technically legal because of the stipulation of the match.
Right.
If Punk does win, though, it's going to be GTS 1-2-3, Or
yes,
I could even see it being like wraps the dog collar chain around MJF's face or neck and then locks in an anaconda vice and cranks it and gets him to give up, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Man, I think I'm just gonna go with Punk here. Maybe it's wishful thinking because we've already seen MJF beat Punk by cheating, and I don't really need to see the exact same type of result again. And really, like I said, MJF has a huge comeuppance coming. So I just think I'm going to pick Punk. We're probably going to get a third match out of this whole thing, and MJF will probably win that and like win the feud. Maybe even set him up for a title run. But for now, I am going to go with Punk to win.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world to me. They're not in the same. So I guess next matchup.
Next matchup, we have Jade Cargill defending the TBS Championship against Ty Conti.
I'm going to keep this real short and sweet. I just think Jade retains.
Yeah,
She gets so much traffic on Twitter and everything. I think she's an AEW priority.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is absolutely a priority. She's dominant. She kicked out of AQA's Shooting Star Press. She's a monster, and really, I can't imagine anyone on the current roster beating her.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. I guess we move on.
Yes.
Our next match, Tag Team Championships, Jurassic Express versus reDRagon versus the Young Bucks. Triple threat AEW World Tag Team Championship match.
Again, gonna keep this real simple. I really don't want to fucking see the Bucks with another tag title. reDRagon, I feel like it still might be a bit too soon for them. It'll happen for them eventually, but I think, I want to give Jurassic Express a bit more time. So I'm just going with these guys to retain. I think really what's going to happen is they'll retain. reDRagon and Young Bucks will have an internal feud, both over Adam Cole and, who's the better tag team. The winner of that feud will challenge Jurassic Express again, which I'm hoping again it would be reDRagon. And then they win the titles. That's kind of how I have it in my head at the moment. So I'm going to go Jurassic Express for now. But ultimately, I think, before year's end, at least, I'll give myself that wide of a berth that reDRagon will become the AEW Tag Team Champions. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, man. I honestly, let me look something up real quick. The AEW Tag Team Championships. Okay, so if the Jurassic Express were to lose on Revolution, they would become the new shortest reign in the history of those titles. I don't think that's happening. I think the Young Bucks and reDRagon are going to effectively screw each other out of this match, and it'll create an opening for Jurassic Express to retain.
Okay, yeah, I could see that, man.
Yeah,
I could see that.
So that's going to be my official prediction. Next up, I guess, I feel like we're moving through this really quickly. I'm having fun though. Next up, we've got Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa, and this is actually another match that I could see having blood, believe it or not. They've had a hardcore, or I guess a lights out match before, and it was very bloody, and wouldn't surprise me at all if we got some kind of blood in this. So Britt versus Rosa, AEW Women's World Championship. I'm going right ahead. I think you're probably going to agree with me on this. I think Thunder Rosa's winning the title here, unless she is injured to the point that she's going to have to miss multiple months. But if she has more of a minor injury that obviously we know she's going to be working through, and it's something that doesn't get significantly worse, and it's something that she can, recover from within a few weeks, it makes all the sense in the world to have her win here. And honestly, if she doesn't win here, I don't know if the next AEW Women's Champion is currently on the roster, if it's not Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, because it's funny you say that. Here's the thing. I did the thread for Rosa. I fucking love her as a talent and as a person, so I'd go all in on her regardless.
Right.
Just because I want her to be champion. That's just purely a fandom pick for me. She's grown so much, and I think she deserves to be champion. If it's not her, I do have to wonder though, bro, if it's going to be Paige Van Zandt, because they've already made like a big deal about signing her.
That's
and
true.
I could see AEW doing that, especially because, and I hate to say this, and again, I'm new to AEW, so this isn't a pot shot. Maybe this is just my stigma from watching so much TNA in the past and then WWE and stuff like that. I feel like AEW would want to be a bit cheeky and respond to WWE having Rousey kind of in the spot that she's doing with Charlotte. Right. So that would be my immediate guess, bro. If it's not Rosa, you can quote me as saying Paige Van Zandt was going to be the next AEW Women's Champion. I hope they don't go that route, though. I mean, if she can work, great, but I'd still like her to earn it like any other performer, because then that's going to be like doubly amazing. Like, holy shit, she was this, UFC star, and they still let her go through the process, pay her dues, and earn it. So it's like, fucking you double the output there. But yeah, I'm going with Thunder Rosa. If not her, I'd pick Paige as next AEW Women's Champion. Right. So that's just my prediction all around.
Interesting. I like that prediction, though. I actually didn't even think of Paige Van Zandt. I really hope that you're right about the process, because I really don't want them to just treat her like another fucking Ronda Rousey. the way that WWE has just pushed Ronda Rousey to the moon immediately, given her everything already, and just kind of revolved the women's division around her. I really don't want that to be PVZ. I like PVZ, and she's definitely marketable as hell, but I really don't want the entire AEW women's division to start revolving around her the way that WWE's does around Rousey.
Yes, I 1,000% agree with you with that. 1,000%.
All right, so next, or not next question. God, I'm in Q&A mode for some reason. Next match is our Face of the Revolution ladder match. The winner of this match earns a future AEW TNT Championship match, but obviously that can't happen on the immediate episode of Dynamite following this show because Scorpio Sky's already getting one on that show. So the winner of this match will eventually get to face either Sammy Guevara or Scorpio Sky, depending on who wins on Wednesday. But this match is Keith Lee versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Wardlow versus Orange Cassidy versus Ricky Starks versus Christian Cage.
This should be a really fun fucking ladder match.
Yes.
So when I look at this field, I'm gonna be honest and say right away, and I don't know if people like Javaris and such will go back and listen to this. I already feel like Keith Lee's above that championship, and he just walked into the building. So I don't necessarily want to go with Keith to win this because I feel like if he were to win the TNT championship, I mean, don't get me wrong, relative to his WWE run, it'd be a great start for him because his WWE run, they were twiddling their fucking thumbs, and if they weren't twiddling them, they were shoving them up their ass. But I look at him, I see a main eventer, I see a guy with presence, I see a guy that you put him side by side with Omega when he comes back, Danielson, hell, even Page, whatever, whoever. It's believable. So I already feel like he's above this championship, so I'm disqualifying him. Orange Cassidy, possible. I do wonder when this gimmick will stop being over. Credit to him that it's still getting mileage all this time later. And it doesn't hurt that he's genuinely good in ring when he flexes. When he stops doing, like, you know, the stuff related to the gimmick and really does work a match. Powerhouse Hobbs, I've heard very good things, but I can't really make any remarks there. I've seen very little of him. I just know people are very high on him in my little Twitter wrestling bubble. Ricky Starks, fuck him. Wardlow, I will say right now, going through all these people, he's my pick. I think with them teasing the babyface thing, the Powerbomb Symphony being over, MJF and Shawn Spears losing their grip, and speaking of MJF, him slapping Wardlow in the fucking face and reaffirming Wardlow's place in this whole dynamic, I think we're just going to continue to see. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, bro, since you and I already picked Punk to win, if these guys had inverted nights where MJF lost one of the biggest matches of his career, but Wardlow won his. And Wardlow, I could even see him kind of needle MJF about that a little bit. And MJF, we know what a prick he is. Like, he's not going to respond well to that. So I'll just come out and say right now that Wardlow is my pick to win. But it's funny that the last guy I didn't even mention, Christian Cage, he would be my 1B. If Wardlow is my 1A, Christian's my 1B, I think it comes down to those two guys to win. But ultimately, I am going to go with Wardlow. And here's the thing, whether it's Sammy or whether it's Scorpio, I could see Wardlow winning it. Unless, here's the thing, MJF would cost him. And then I would go back to my prediction again of Hook winning it before Summer's End. Because I think they're priming that dude for a nice push. But yeah, I think Wardlow's going to win this. MJF's going to get Jade, and he might even screw him out of the title match. But that'll just further their feud long term. So I am really curious to hear your thoughts about this because there's a lot of men to choose from. How is your mind working on this?
I appreciate your take on Keith Lee. I can absolutely understand why you would say that you think he's above this right now. My biggest problem with that, though, is that if you look at sort of the projected lineage of the AEW World Championship, I know that Keith Lee is the type of dude that you make room for in that, but I really don't think that there is room for him within the next, like, year or two, which makes me really feel like there's no reason he can't win the TNT title first, have a decent run with that, and then once some of those names in the queue lined up for the AEW World title get cleared off, step up to the plate for that afterwards. So I am going to pick Keith Lee to win here. I'm also going to pick Sammy Guevara to retain against Scorpio Sky on Wednesday, and then I'm going to pick Keith Lee to be the next AEW TNT champion and get a really nice long, like 6 month, like longest reign to date with that title so far with that title.
Awesome. I love that thought process. Absolutely. All
I'm
right.
trying to actually look. What is the longest TNT title run so far? It is about 6 months. Darby Allin's run that he had from November until May, November 2020 to May of 2021, that got dethroned by Miro, is the current longest run. And I absolutely think that Keith could, should, and I might even go as far as to say will break that record when he wins it, whenever that happens to be, even if it's not within the next month or so.
All right. All right. Very interesting. Next matchup.
Next up, we have got our
It's just the main
World
event. Holy
Championship match. Yeah, exactly. The main event. Hangman Adam Page defending the AEW World Championship against Adam Cole. Baby.
God. I mean, guys, look. Someone give a serious pick, but I'm also going to be me to start. Adam Cole's superior. He's a gift to this entire planet. I think he's single-handedly keeping the species together. I don't care about opposing opinions. I'm right. So given everything he's doing for the human race, I think the least we can do is make him AEW World Champion. He's better than sad cowboy that likes to drink. Just because, he's committed to this, damn it. But no, look, I fucking love Adam Cole. I would love if he won the fucking title. Just because I really feel like Adam, it's funny, Adam to me is very similar to AJ Styles. While I think AJ is ultimately a better in-ring worker, I think Adam's a better personality than AJ. And I feel like what he shares with AJ, why I make that comparison, is I feel like it doesn't take long for Adam, wherever he goes, to really establish himself and be that fucking guy. I don't know what it is about him and AJ that they have that quality that they can go somewhere and you think, well, nah, they've got the stench of insert company here. They won't make it, but they do. And it's really amazing to watch. I do think he's going to be a future AEW World Champion, but it's not now. And in complete sincerity, I do like Page. I think they built him up very well. I even saw his promo like after he won the title. You might have even sent me that, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I think I did.
It's clear he's very over. He's very beloved. He busted his ass for this. Again, I'd love if Cole won, but I wouldn't be pissed if Page retained. And in fact, I'm so not angry about it that I'm predicting it. I do think Adam Page will retain. But again, because I feel like these are a bit tougher matches to call, I'm very curious how you're looking at this match. So what do you think?
Yeah. God. There's actually a legitimate sized part of me that wants to pick Cole here. Because I've heard people, I think I've even heard Craig in our own circle say that if Adam Page would lose here, he would become the shortest reigning champion in the history of the AEW World title. But to me, that's not an unreasonable thing to expect. Because really, if you think about it, that AEW World title lineage doesn't really have any other sort of underdog type baby faces in it. Like, I don't know how much of an underdog you would really consider Page, but Jericho was a heel when he won it. Moxley was and still is more of a badass than a straight up face or heel. He's not really aligned either way, even though we know he's a face. It's not because he's just such a nice guy. Omega, obviously, massive heel throughout his entire reign. And then we get to Page, who won the title as a straight up, no questions asked babyface and has been for his entire run. Those guys don't get long title reigns.
That is true. That is true.
Like, I know that like AEW isn't going to go full Lucha Underground, where Phoenix and Sexy Star, the only two real underdog baby faces that won the title, got super like 2 week long reigns with the title. But I also do think that it's reasonable, like I said earlier, to expect Page to have the shortest reign with that title, right? So there's a big part of me that just wants to pick Cole, but I'm mentally like playing gymnastics here, trying to figure out who's got the more interesting path forward. Because like if Cole wins, it's not going to be because Cole was the better man. It's like Adam Cole isn't going to beat Hangman Page on his own merits, period. He's going to get help from reDRagon. He's going to get help from the Young Bucks. He might even get help from other members of that sort of clique. Maybe if Kenny Omega comes back, I don't know when he's due back, but in my mind, there's a chance that he could show up, distract Hangman long enough for Cole to take advantage, because Cole doesn't give a fuck about Kenny, but Hangman sure as hell does, and it could maybe even be like the first step in a long road leading to Kenny's face turn. I don't know. Part of me is like, okay, well, Hangman could just retain and then just keep defending against other solid heels. You know, we could get a Malakai defense. I think Malakai would make a lot of sense to be the next champion, even. We could get, an Andrade defense. Like, there's a lot of heels left that haven't had a shot at Page that would make sense as opponents. But, God, this story with Cole and reDRagon and the Bucks is so juicy. And I already predicted that neither reDRagon nor the Bucks would win titles on this show. So that leaves them kind of floating unless they become sort of competition to each other for who can best help Adam Cole keep the title around his waist, right?
Right.
I'm having a really tough time here. I really don't know which direction I want to go with this. Man. Let me ask you a question, John. You picked Page to retain, right?
Yes.
Has anything that I have said since you made that decision made you a little shaky on it at all?
Definitely. You know, I've always appreciated your logic on these. I think anytime we do preview and predictions, when you come with this kind of reasoning against a pick of mine, I always take it very seriously. And as such, right, you would think the burden's on me to kind of be like, oh, well, no, Ashton, you really haven't considered this. Because, see, the thing is, too, here's the funny thing. When you think about the undercard matches that are like, which ones could really, what was I going to say? Could really determine, like, a future contender, right? I immediately go to the dog collar match, but we both picked Punk to win that. Punk is very clearly babyface.
Right.
So, like, to say that Page would retain, but, could I see an Adam Cole CM Punk feud? Yeah, absolutely. I'd actually love to see that just for the promos alone. So I don't know. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. But my gut's really telling me Page. That's, again, I think your logic is solid. I definitely appreciate where you're coming from. I just can't shake that, especially after the way I feel like Page has got to prove himself to Cole too, because I keep thinking about that promo where Adam Cole said, you're the inferior Adam, and all the history they had together, where Page for a long time was just a lackey. I feel like in this case, the babyface almost has to win, right? Because it's like he has to vindicate where he is now.
You're right. I am overthinking this. I am going to just I'm just gonna go with Adam Page. I'm gonna lock it in. Hangman for the win. I'm like I said, I'm overthinking it. I'm trying too hard to outsmart myself, and it's working, and I need to stop that. So I'm just gonna go with Hangman. I do think that they've done a really good job of creating a compelling main event here, though, because obviously you just heard me waffle for like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am just gonna lock in Hangman Page. So I don't want to linger on this because I don't want to end up like convincing myself otherwise. I just want to lock it in and move on. So that's our last match of the night. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
No, I think my hype is staying steady at 9 out of 10. I would say I don't think it's gone up, mainly because I feel like it goes up when you when like you or somebody in the chat like shows me a greater range of possibility than what I'm seeing, which isn't a bad thing if I can't see it, because sometimes the possibilities I do see are already amazing. But I feel like you and I were actually in agreement for a lot of this show. And where we disagreed, I don't think it was enough of a ripple in the water that I'm like, ooh, they're right. That could happen. And it could be whatever. So I think I'm holding it at 9 out of 10. What about you? Are you holding firm at your 8.5?
I am. Yeah. I expected this conversation to make me go up to at least a 9, maybe even a 9.5, but I am holding steady at that 8.5 for sure.
Yeah, do not blame you at all. I'm really excited for this tomorrow night. And again, guys, we're going to be doing the whole show, so we'll be going live at 7 because that pre-show, that buy-in. I mean, I got to give AEW credit for this. You asked if I had anything else to say. This buy-in is stacked because even Hulk versus QT, because we talk about what a shit wrestler QT is, but like he's going up against the perfect opponent because you want a wrestler like that to get destroyed by a wrestler like Hook. So I feel like he's positioned perfectly. Leyla versus Kris, they might get a lie out of that because apparently it's really personal, like you said. Kris has been saying some fucked up shit leading up to this, and then fucking House of Black versus Pac, Pentagon, and Erick Redbeard. That's gonna be a fun 6-man. So like, a pay-per-view is good when like the fucking pre-show even feels a bit can't miss. So yeah, way to go AEW. You're really putting a smile on my face right now, and I hope they can keep it there. So we'll see you guys at 7 tomorrow. I can't fucking wait. Leave a like if you haven't, guys. Subscribe with the bell icon for notifications so you never get missed out of that 12 goodness. And you're gonna want to now because AEW coverage is coming back to being a bit more regular for the time being. You know, Twitwow's policy is we're always honest about our feelings. Right now, it's feeling good. We'll see how long it feels good. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. And again, we'll see you tomorrow at 7. I just keep hammering that home because I know it's weird for people us covering AEW, but be there. It's really going to be something. So, Ashton, you can take us home.
All right, excellent. We will close this out then. Those of you that joined us, thank you very much. If you enjoyed, please remember to like the video. You can also subscribe to the channel, click the bell, follow us on Twitter and Twitch. And if you'd like to support us, you can also subscribe on Twitch, buy our merch on Spring, donate to our Patreon, and share this channel and this video with all your wrestling fan friends and let them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube and Twitch wrestling communities. That's right, we are TwitWow, and we are the workhorses of the YNTWCs. And we will be seeing you all again tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for our live reactions to the show, all the way through, starting with the buy-in. We hope to see you there. And of course, in order for that to happen, you're going to have to remember to stay tuned.